I'm Jeff Edwards, co-chairman of the SafeHouse Initiative and host of Behind the Scenes. We believe it's important for our readers, listeners, and future content contributors to get acquainted with the individuals and organizations that have helped create this much-needed, one-of-a-kind resource. Welcome to Behind the Scenes. Dorian Nevah is the head of Global Alliances for Canonical. Welcome, Dorian.
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
I am great. Thanks for being here today. Hey, why don't you tell our listeners about Canonical?
Happy to do so. Canonical is the company behind Ubuntu. For those that follow Linux, Ubuntu is the most popular and ubiquitous Linux operating system on the planet. It's been around for 20 years. The company Canonical does support and services, builds automation tools around that now for almost 20 years, founded by Mark Shuttleworth. Beyond that, really, it's founded on this concept of humanity to others, which is really the kind of the core rationale behind the company, which really the mantra is to ultimately make software available to anyone on the planet to use. And that's been our guiding light for the last 20 years. And over that period of time, we've gone beyond the operating system, Ubuntu, to provide automation tools for open source, for cloud, for Kubernetes, and most recently for open source applications.
Interesting. It's a great area to be in, and very exciting times for it too. So Canonical, and you in particular, you're a founding member of the SafeHouse Initiative. Why the SafeHouse Initiative? Why did you help out building the SafeHouse Initiative?
No, it's a great question, Jeff, and something I feel very passionate about. One of the core tenets for Canonical is around security. And our security really is primarily focused on, once again, the operating system level and ensuring security and compliance across the operating system layer and all of the packages and tools that we create. However, that really only extends to the infrastructure components and software packages. And I think prior to being at Canonical, I think I've always been very interested in business continuance as a whole. And I think, the challenge and that enterprises have faced for decades is something that's very clear, that business continuance and operation resiliency is a critical component and feature of any enterprise. But as we move up into the open source world, I find that there's less of a focus on that. Right? And I think that's something a bit of a challenge. And so I think what's really been interesting that the SafeHouse Initiative is striving to tackle, and why I chose to want to participate in it, is to really harden what the advantages companies can take from this ecosystem of partners that are in the SafeHouse Initiative to really tackle this problem, both from a personal work level through an enterprise, all the way up into the cloud. And so I'm really intrigued with this notion of building this ecosystem of partners that help tackle this really, really important problem. Adding more to kind of my thought around really the value proposition that I think the SafeHouse Initiative brings to the table. Right now I think we're in this world where people are frankly just simply afraid of cyber terrorism, of ransomware. Because I just don't think people really understand it that well, and that's an emotional reaction. It's a fear-based response to it, and I think one of the things that I love about SafeHouse Initiative, and I think one of the values they can bring to the world, frankly, is to really help expose what it really is, what the problem really is. Instead of a fear of an unknown, you understand what the problem really is, and then you have this collective group of companies that have an understanding of it and can really kind of help tackle the problem on how to solve it. So, put a name to the fear and then try to address it with a solution that the collective community puts together.
That's inspiring, my friend. So as you look into the future, what is your vision for the SafeHouse Initiative?
If I think about things on a crawl, kind of walk, run continuum, right? I feel like SafeHouse Initiative now launched I think it's probably starting to get out of the crawl phase. It's starting to get a critical mass of some really, really fascinating companies that have elements of the answer, right? And it's this collective community of companies and organizations, of like-minded companies and organizations, pulling together to really tackle this problem. It can't be solved by 1, 2, 5, even 10 companies. And I think about a parallel to really one of the ideas that kind of triggered this thought of a SafeHouse Initiative organization. If I think about what happened in the Linux Foundation years ago, it really started with a collective of a few companies that really realized something needed to change, and there were some problems that needed to get addressed, and some initiatives that needed to be incubated. And I see this as the same kind of a path that SafeHouse Initiative will take. And so the future in my mind is really exposing this problem. And when I say this problem, anything from ransomware to cybersecurity and many other kind of related challenges, that a broader collective of companies, like-minded companies, can get together, really incubate some projects that they can launch out into the community to innovate on. So I think it's a really exciting time. And when this is something that ultimately will change the world. And I think that's what we're all in this for.
So I really appreciate you taking time to help us understand Canonical, why the SafeHouse Initiative, your participation, and your vision for the future.
My pleasure, Jeff. Thanks for having me.